Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Bree, and as you could tell from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about my natural hair journey. All right, so we're going to be talking about how long I've been natural, why I initially cut my hair off, what it was like after I cut my hair off, and a little bit about my hair care routine now. All right, so let's get right into it. So the first question I'm going to answer is, how long have I been natural? So I first cut my hair off for the first time in September of 2016. So this is actually my anniversary month. It's been 6 years, and it's been a roller coaster ride, and I feel like maybe within the past couple of years, I've really gotten the hang of taking care of my hair, understanding it, do's and don'ts. But it was definitely a wild ride in the beginning. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty, the actual journey. So for as long as I could remember, my hair had been permed. Elementary school, middle school, high school, my hair was always just permed, right? And I literally didn't even realize that wasn't how my hair was supposed to be up until maybe around high school. I forget how. I think what had happened was I was getting braids, and after I would take the braids out, my hair was like, it looked like an afro, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I kind of like the way that this looks. And my mom was like, well, when you stop getting a perm, that's how your hair would probably look naturally. And that was the first thing that kind of like piqued my interest about it. And then I was like, well, how do I like get my hair to be like that all the time? And the answer was, you have to basically cut off all your hair in order for it to start growing in curly or coiled, right? And that obviously wasn't something that I was ready to do in high school. You're kind of, that's a big deal, right? So I go through high school, and the thought of like cutting my hair off all the way and going natural is always kind of in the back of my mind as like something that I would like to. I found myself like really curious about what the texture of my hair would feel like. Like I remember like really wondering, like, I wonder what it feels like to have an afro. Like, what's the texture of it feel like? It was something that was just kind of in the background of my mind that kind of just stuck. It was like a seed had been like almost planted in my head, where it's like, yeah, it was just there. Fast forward, and I basically don't really have the guts to cut my hair off. Your hair is a big part of your appearance, right? Especially for a woman. Your hair is like a staple piece. Your hair is, it's a big deal. And I had my biggest hang up for the longest time was like, I don't want to be bald because I don't think that would look great, right? So what was the big crescendo situation that led me to get like actually cutting my hair off? So all of my life, right, my aunt is a beautician. She's the one who was doing my hair. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, we were getting our perms done. She had us fry dye laid to the side, looking good. And there was actually a situation where, I was dating Cody, and I've always been kind of like a tomboy, I guess you could say. I like, physical appearance was never like a big deal to me. Like I was never like a fashionista. I was jeans and a t-shirt girl. Like, that was my go-to. That's what was comfortable. I never really put that much thought into my outfits. And one day I went over to my grandmother's house, and all my aunts and my mom and sister and everybody's there. I forget. I think it's just like it was just a regular casual visit. And I'm just gonna say I looked pretty tacky, right? I had been living outside of my mom's house with Cody, and I was taking some liberties with my fashion choices. I was I wasn't dressing good. Let's just say that. I was just kind of, it was jeans and a t-shirt, and I was looking kind of crazy, whatever. So I go over to their house and they're just kind of ragging on me, right? Oh, why are you stepping out the house looking like this and that, blah, 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 blah. And at this point, I had kind of gained a little bit of independence. I was, I was living with my boyfriend, we're engaged, blah, 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 blah. I'm kind of feeling like an adult. And I'm like, I basically, where I usually just kind of take the influx of insult or whatever, to I actually spoke up, and I was like, I don't like you guys talking to me like that, and just because I'm not looking the way that you want me to look doesn't mean that it's bad, and this, that, and the third. And like I kind of like spoke out, and that caused like a big thing. Of course, you know how it is in Black families. You're not supposed to talk to your elders in a certain way, and that was basically a big thing. And since my aunt was the one who was doing my hair, and she was kind of a part of the spat, it was like this thing where I was like, okay, I don't have anybody to do my hair anymore, nobody to perm my hair. And I wasn't going to go out and look for another beautician, and it was like that seed that was in the back of my mind of like, cut your hair off, cut your hair off, cut your hair off. It was like, now's your chance. You actually have an excuse. You can you can say nobody's doing your hair now. You can kind of get away with it, so to speak, And a lot of this kind of, like I said, it had to do with me being more independent. I had moved out of my mom's house. Like I said, I think Cody and I were married at this point. If not married, we were at the very least engaged. So I was about 20 when all of this happened. So yeah, my big plan was, okay, since I'm not going to get my hair permed anymore, and I'm not quite at the point where I just want to, shave it all off and be bald, my big plan was to basically get braids and let my roots grow out to a length that I felt more comfortable like managing, and then I would cut my hair off some kind of way. Right? So that's my plan. I'm going and I'm getting braids and my roots are getting longer and this is happening. And then Cody and I decided to get into trucking, right? We were early in our marriage and we wanted to save as much money as possible, make as much money as possible so that we can eventually buy a house. So that was the big plan. So we enrolled in a trucking academy with Swift Transportation, and the way they basically have it set up is you don't have to pay any sort of tuition so long as you work for the company after you get your CDL. They take a little bit of money out of your paycheck every week until the tuition is paid off, and then after that, you're good to go. So me and Cody did that, and before we went off to the trucking school, I was like, okay, I need a hairstyle that's gonna last a good while, because box braids, you get a month out of those at best before they start to look a little shoddy. So I was like, let me try something different. Let me get micros, right? So I went and got my micro braids. I'll show a picture here. I was like, in my head, I was like, they're kind of thinner. Hopefully they'll be like easier to wash, easier to kind of style different ways while I'm on the road, easier to maintain. And so that's what we did. We went through our month of like trucking school, right? And then after that was the point where you have to drive with a mentor. You have to get a certain amount of hours before you can get your actual CDL. So that's what we do. Cody goes off with his teacher for a month, and then I go off with my teacher for a month. And all the while I still have these macros in my head. It's like, okay, they're holding up. We're hanging in there. But then like maybe 2 weeks after starting the starting the mentorship, I was so sick of those things. And you really shouldn't have braids in your head longer than a month. So I was like, itching. I was wanting to just get them out of there. And so we had a point with me and the mentor where I had a 34-hour reset. And that's basically when you run out of drive hours and you have to sit still in the truck until those hours recuperate, and then you can start driving again. So I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for me to take this hair down. And I'll never forget this. We were in Columbus, Ohio, and we stop at one of Swift's terminals there. And I'm like, okay, perfect opportunity. I have 34 hours. I should be able to take these micros out of my hair. And then we're in Columbus, Ohio. I'm looking up like black beauty salons. I'm like, okay, let's see if we can find something where I can find like a black barber or somebody to like cut my hair into like a cute little style. Cause at this point, the natural roots are about maybe an inch tall. And I'm like, okay, I'm on the road. I'm kind of far away from my family, away from Cody even. Like, nobody can really tell me to stop and not do this. So I'm like, all right, this is the time to get it done. So I'm working to take out these macros, and it's taking forever. I don't have a rat tail comb, so I'm trying to do the whole thing with my fucking fingers, and it's taking like an insane amount of time. So I'm like, okay, skip the barber. Let me try to find like somebody who does braid takedowns and see if that person can also, after the braids are taken down, give me a haircut. So I find this, oh my God. Okay, anyway, I find this lady on Google, and I'm like, okay, this looks like a cute salon. I call them up. I'm like, hey, I have micro braids in my head. Do you guys do braid takedowns? And they're like, yeah, come on, whatever. And I was like, okay. And after the braids are taken down, I'm going to go natural. I'd like for somebody to cut off my permed ends. And they're like, yeah, we can do that, whatever. I get there, and all the braiding ladies who, specialize in the takedowns or whatever are busy. And there's this one woman who, she doesn't know I don't get how are you black and you don't know how to take braids down, right? So I sit in her chair, and she grabs a brush. All right, so she snips off all the little ends, right? Cuts it short. I'm like, okay, whatever. And she gets a brush, and she starts like combing like this from root to tip, not starting at the bottom and working her way up. She's like this. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, that's not how you take down braids. And she's like, how do you do it then? How do you do it? Have you never had braids in your life? Like, how do you not know how to take braids down? So I'm like, you start at the end and then you work your way up, right? So I'm like that. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she grabs like maybe 5-6 braids, and she's doing like this with a brush. And I'm like, you might want to use like a rat tail comb or something with like wider bristles so that you can actually get the individual plaits out. And she's like, oh, okay, let me try that. And this is a black woman, y'all. Like, if I went to like somebody who was not black and they were doing this, I'd be like, okay, I that makes sense. But like, come on. So I'm in there, and I'm like, okay, let me just give this lady a little bit of time, because at this point I can't do it myself. I'm running out of time. Like, I thought she would be able to like speedily just, no. About like 30 minutes go by, then an hour, and maybe half of my head is done. And I'm like, you know what? I'm getting out of here. And she had the nerve to try to tell me to pay. Half of my head done. She's like, you still have to pay for your hour in the chair. That was an hour of my time. I was like, nah. I walked out, right? I walked out, and I was like, I'm a truck driver. I'll be in the next state if they try to find me. Like, I'm not paying for this. And so I put a hat on my head, and I'm just like, I'm pissed, right? I'm pissed. This small amount of time that I had to like get my hair right, and I can't book an appointment with anybody else. We got to hit the road. And so I'm like, God dang. So I just put my hair, like, stuff it up into a hat, half braided and all. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Right? What am I going to do? I look crazy. And I was like, I'm just going to have to just cut it all out. I'm just going to have to cut it out. So that's what I did. So me and my mentor, we got back on the road. We're driving, and it's the end of the day. It's time for showers, time to eat, all that. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. it's time. I'm just gonna cut it off. So we're at a TA truck stop, and I remember I go into the gas station. I bought myself I bought a pair of scissors and I bought a shower, and I went and took the scissors out the package, and I just cut it off. It was crooked as fuck. It was uneven, like crazy looking, right? Crazy looking. So I cut it all off, and I'm just like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, all right. There's no turning back now. We're here. We're here. All right. And I took my shower, I washed it, and I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, this is my real hair, and had no clue how to take care of it, right? And yeah, I walked out of the back, and my freaking mentor, right? I get in the truck because I don't think I told him I was going to cut my hair. So I just get back in the truck, and I'm like, I have a little short afro. And he's like, whoa, who called Macy Gray in here? I'm like, what? I don't look anything like Macy Gray. It's like, I feel like that was just like the only black person with an afro that he could like reference. He's like, whoa, who called Macy Gray in here? Like, just dumb, right? So that was that. That was how I kind of came to cutting my hair. It was, and it was what it was. It was pretty crazy, and it wasn't like this whole like spiritual kind of, it was kind of almost, I was like almost forced into doing it, but I'm glad that it happened that way, because I might not have had the guts to do it any other way without being like funneled into submission, kind of. All right, so now let's get into post chop, right? So after I cut my hair, first and foremost, let the record show that I had absolutely no idea on how to take care of my hair, right? Absolutely no idea. So I think what did I do at first? At first, it was like, I was reading online, like oil. You're supposed to put oil in it because it's like a haystack at this point. It's super dry, right? Kind of brittle, a little crunchy. Like I'm not putting any product in it because, one, I'm over the road, and it's kind of difficult to, you have to go to certain places and certain neighborhoods to find good like black products for your hair. And I was also in the truck, so it's like I couldn't just go anywhere. My options were very limited to like Walmart's, because that's like the only place that you could park a big rig, an 18-wheeler. So yeah, the only products that I really had access to, like starting out, were like Cantu. And we all know how terrible Cantu is. Like, it's like, it wasn't moisturizing my hair. My hair felt thirsty all the time. It's like, and I wasn't doing twist out. I just didn't know how to take care of it, right? I'm trying to, oh, I hear you put coconut oil. Okay, let me try that. It's just shiny, and it's just, it was very difficult starting out. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And I think once my hair got to the length where I can actually start like doing twist outs, that's when things started to click, even though I was just using the Cantu. But with the Cantu, I really had to like doctor it up. I would like add oil to it. I would add a little water to thin it out because it's very thick. And with Cantu, if you just like take the product by itself and slap it on your hair, it leaves a lot of like residue behind, and it just like wasn't working for me. And I went through that whole phase where every time we were home, I was ordering stuff on Amazon to go to my mom's house so that I could pick that up and try the new product on my hair. And I tried so many different products and ways to try. And then it's like, the main thing was, it was just dry. Very, very dry, very, very dry. And so the magic formula for me for a while was to wash it, condition it, and then I would do a twist out with a leave-in conditioner in it. And the leave-in conditioner, I would always add water to it to thin it out, and then I would add oil to it to, add some to lock in the moisture, right? And that was working. That was doing wonders for me. After I finally figured out that was what I needed to do to keep it healthy. But along with like just figuring out how to do your hair, which is it's such a tragic thing, like to think, because like now the hair care routine I have is very simple, very natural, very easy to do. But if you just think like at some point my great 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 grandmother probably knew how to take care of her hair just like perfectly, right? Knew the right formula, knew the right creams and salves, and could probably whip up like the things like that would keep your hair healthy, just knew how to do it. But because of like colonialism and slavery and them basically trying to beat the black out of us, a lot of just like something that basic was lost, like how to do your hair. And it's also just a lot of what I learned with the natural hair journey is like how much they just like demonized like just being black in the most simplest form. Like that was another big part of why I wanted to cut my hair, is because like how dare you like say the way that the hair that grows out of my head is wrong? Like how dare you? How could the something so just natural, that's just a part of nature, that's just a part of a human being's being, the way that the hair grows out of the top of the head was seen as threatening, that you weren't a good black person unless your hair was straight, that you weren't a safe black person unless your hair is straight, that you were seen as unkept, as dirty. It's like that's so it's outrageous. And that's a big thing that this natural hair like journey taught me, was that one, like you should celebrate all aspects of your blackness, your whatever that may be, however you choose to express yourself as a black man or woman. Don't let nobody tell you that it's wrong, right? Just for being you. So cutting off my hair was like, it was like a pivotal part in like my spiritual journey. As a woman, as a black woman, as just a person. And me as a person, I'm very introverted, and I guess like my hair was almost a way for me to hide and to blend in and to kind of not be too out there. And then, but like with an afro, like it's like literally out there. It's literally reaching to the sky. It's like begging to be seen, right? And then also just like not having any hair. It was a big shift in my reality. I became like very self-conscious. I couldn't tell if people were like looking at me because of my hair. Was it because I was black? Was it because of some type of energy I was giving off? But being in a truck, we were literally all over the country, meeting all types of different people. There were times where we were in, the deep south. There were times when we were way up north. There were times when I was in situations where I was just uncomfortable, just being black in general. And then also to like not have my hair. It was such a tough time emotionally, like spiritually and everything. It was just tough. And I think things started to turn around when I started to really just embrace myself. Just like in general, the way that I looked. Like, this is the body that I was put in. This is the body that I am embodying. If somebody doesn't like it, fuck them. That type of thing. And then also learning to like love and nurture myself as a black woman. Learning to love my hair and to nurture it and treat it like a little baby. And wanting to pamper it and give it all sorts of oils and salves and really like nurture it so that it would grow. That was a big thing. And yeah, I finally had gotten to a place where my hair was a length where I started to feel more comfortable, right? It wasn't the TWA, the teeny weeny afro. It was something more maneuverable, something that I could style, something that I could I was like, okay, I could work with this. I can do a little this and that with it and, style it and make myself feel more cute. And yeah, by that time though, my hair was pretty much shot. I had tons of split ends. It was very unhealthy. And so, what year was it? It was the year before Autumn was born. So 2019. So she was born December. I cut my hair again. What was it, like January, February of 2019, because my ends were so shot. And this time when I cut my hair, I knew how to take care of it. And it was like the type of situation where it was like, I've already gone through this. Like, I got it down. I'm comfortable in my skin. Like, if somebody doesn't like my hair, then fuck you. Like, I was fully embodying myself, and it felt good to like cut it off again and kind of get that new start. And this is, yeah, what was it? I said 2019. So it's been what, 2-3 years since the last time I've cut it, and it's back big. And this is probably the longest that it's ever been. Yeah, so yeah, that's my journey pretty much. And I also want to mention, because you guys might be wondering, but Cody's reaction, he's never made me like feel bad about it, not for 1 second. Like, I was so nervous that first when, we were separated with our mentors, that first day that I had to meet Cody back, I was so like nervous. But he was like, oh wow, okay, it's there. It wasn't a big deal at all for him. And he's always been very supportive of me, like exploring like my hair. And I don't know how to say it, but I was a very different person when we met. I would just say like I'm more invested in like my own culture, and not seeking like approval from white culture as much as I was when we first met. I think that, yeah, I was almost kind of in the upside down a little bit, where I was rejecting a lot of black culture. I'll put it like that. I was into rock music. I was straightening my hair. I was, trying to fit into white spaces and do that whole sort of thing. And that's not how I am at all anymore. Yeah, I've kind of really learned to embrace myself as a black woman and stand tall in who I am, and really delve into our culture, our history, and really make sure that I'm a advocate, not an advocate, but that I'm really on our side, like on black people's side, on African American side, because yeah, it's just like there wasn't anything for me on the other side, really. Trying to like appeal, or what do they call it, code switching and that sort of thing. And oh god, it's been a journey. And yeah, that was also like, I might have to talk about that in another video. But when I started to have kind of my spiritual awakening and coming back to my culture and being a black woman and really truly embracing that, there was a lot of like contention or confusion in my head, because I'm wanting to be pro-black, I'm wanting to embrace this culture, but then I'm married to like a white guy, and it's like they're almost directly contradicting everything that I'm kind of trying to embody. So that was it was a very interesting time in our relationship. Yeah, I will have to talk about that together, because yeah, I know that he was feeling some of that contention. So yeah, where am I at now in my natural hair journey? Right now, I am in a place where I am just comfortable. I know how to do my hair. I have a very simple hair care routine. It's not 10 million different products that I'm using. It's all natural. I think I might make another video about that process, how I kind of came to that information, but it was basically, I was basically of the mindset like, there's no way that, you know, hundreds of years ago when we were back in Africa, that we had all these different products to put in our hair, that the conditioner, the shampoo, the co-wash, the detangler, the this, the that. Like, what's the simplistic way that we were kind of just generally taking care of our hair to to make sure that it was, you know, healthy? And, you know, of course I do deep heat treatments and all that other stuff every once in a while, but for the most part I have a very simple weekly routine that I follow, and my hair loves it. My hair absolutely loves it, and loves it more than when I was using actual, you know, products off the shelf. So if you'd like to hear about that process, or you'd like me to make a video about that, I think I'm going to make one anyways, but leave a comment if you're in support of that. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's been a very wild ride, and you know, when you talk about like a spiritual journey or a spiritual awakening, as a black person in America, it's interesting. And I mean, even for like white people, if you really look into your own history and acknowledge the side of history that you guys were on, and a lot of the atrocities that have taken place to like not only my people but the Native Americans, and you know, I've been delving into history, and it's not even just here, it's like all over the world that, you know, black and brown bodies have been like disenfranchised and abused, and at the hands of, it's wild. Okay, so that's something, you know. And like I said, like being married to someone who is of a different race, and like not only trying to make sure that I'm like not unfairly judging him for the sins of the father, so to speak, but making sure that he really understands things like on a deep level, so that we're not you know, butting heads. Because I'm glad that with Cody, I realized like I could have very much ended up with like a white man who was like a closet racist. I've you know, you see some of those people like on social media where it's like, okay, this is my black person that I love, and but then like all you other Negroes can go, you know, somewhere else. Let's just say, you know, I tolerate and I love this one, but all the rest of you guys are, I could take it or leave it type of thing. So he's definitely not that type of person. And if I had while I was going through the spiritual awakening and learning about history and all that type of stuff, and realizing kind of the decisions I've made and why I've made them, and if through all that process I had realized that he had that kind of darkness in him, we wouldn't be together. I have enough love for myself as a black person to not put up with something like that. So yeah, that's something. You know, maybe me and Cody will talk about that on a different episode. I know that that's kind of a sensitive subject. But yeah, I think it's important to kind of talk about it, because like I said, there are some couples that I see online where it's just like a little uncomfortable to watch, because the jokes that are being thrown around are like slightly racist. The TikTok, you know, they got the I forget who it was, but you know, getting married on a plantation. This white woman with her black husband getting married on a plantation. Or there's that trend on TikTok where they're having their man stand up like they're on a slave block and talk about, yeah, I ordered this one. He comes with, you know, full lips, copper skin. It's like, how is that in any way funny if you have any sort of if you have any sort of clue about the history behind racism and even just colonialism? And it's like, that's not funny. That's not cool. And yeah. So anyway, that was a tangent. But yeah. That's like, and it seems like it's not connected to the natural hair journey, but it is. It's like the brown paper bag test, right? If you look too black, if you looked too black in the past, you were considered dangerous. You were considered threatening. You know, you had to like be as safe and as polite and as put together and as non-intimidating as possible to make white people feel comfortable, right? But that's no longer the reality. You know, I just recently read Malcolm X's autobiography, and I was thinking about like almost the similarities, and I wonder if a lot of black people kind of go through a similar journey where you're first like you're assimilated, and you know Malcolm X was getting his hair conked, which is like the old way of saying getting perms, and he was out there on the streets hustling, you know, robbing people, doing drugs, like he was on it. And it took him going to jail and like really reading about the history, and that's, ooh wee, that history, it's deep. And I think about what we learn about in school, and it barely like scratches the surface of. It's like even the fact that in high school I learned nothing about Malcolm X, or you know Marcus Garvey, or Elijah Muhammad, or all these other great black leaders who kind of shifted the consciousness of our people in the past, and still continue to do so today through their teachings and their readings and all that stuff. It's just wild. Being black in this country is really wild. And yeah, my hair now is like a statement piece. It's me saying that like I'm not going to conform to this. Yeah, I owe it to my ancestors to look how I look, to look black, to stand in that and to own it. And yeah, it is what it is, you know. I'm still trying every day. Sometimes there's confusion, there's still anger even. Yeah, but I'm fully comfortable with who I am as a person. And you know, I'm going to raise our children. We're going to raise our children to have a full, deep understanding of culture of this country, and the true culture of this country, and not sugarcoat it. And you know, this is why that they didn't want critical race theories in the schools, because it lights a fire under you when you learn about the things that we've been through. Not only just like the anger that kind of boils up, but then there's also like pride, because even though they've like thrown every single thing that they could at us to try to keep us down, we still rise up and we still stand in power, and we still laugh, we still celebrate, we still make bomb ass music. Like we still like lead the culture of this country, and they can't take it away from us. They can't. So I know this was kind of a long conversation, but if you like what you're hearing, you want to hear more, like, comment, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video. Peace.